Morning, guys. It's Tuesday, May 25th. Standing on the foundation. Once again, I believe we should all stand on the foundation the Lord has given us every single morning and be thankful. So, by this being said, this is what I do every day to help me. I also want to be that overflowing cup, so it helps all of you as well and pass on what God gives to us each day. Yesterday is gone, today is here, and the future is yet to come. So I'm going to worry about right now. I'm going to honor the Father right now and what I'm doing and start my day out on this foundation. The title of the day is The Test of Self-Interest. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 13, and the verse of the day is 9. But first, before I start reading, I'm going to pray over the day. I haven't been doing this, but I like to pray on my own, but I just feel like the Spirit's moving this morning and I need to pray over this message this morning. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for another amazing day and blessing us to stand up on your foundation. Just want to thank you for that. Lord, I want to pray for this message this morning and just let our hearts be moved and our souls be moved to grow closer in our faith to you. Each and every word that is mentioned here. Lord, let this message just help us in our daily walk today and let us make the right choices in what we're doing. Lord, I want to pray for everyone listening to this message, just to touch them and help them through with anything they're going through right now, and just give them protection. Thank you. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Okay, guys, we're going to be reading about Abram and Lot separate. And also, God renews his covenant. These are the two titles of chapter 13. So I'm going to be reading out of my New Living Translation. I'll be reading verses 1 through 18. And I'm going to touch up on this, and then I'll go into the word of the day for my utmost to his highest. So Abram left Egypt and traveled north into Negev, along with his wife and Lot, and all that they owned. Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. From the Negev, they continued traveling by stages toward Bethel, and they pitched their tents between Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This was the same place where Abram had built the altar, and there he worshipped the Lord again. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, had also become very wealthy with flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and many tents. But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with their flocks and herds living so close together. So disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. Finally, Abram said to Lot, "Let's not allow this conflict to come between us or our herdsmen. After all, we are close relatives." Now here's the verse of the day, 9. "The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we will separate. If you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land on the right. If you prefer the land on the right, then I'll go to the left." It's pretty nice to let another man that's your relative get first choosing. It's not very selfish of him. It's pretty honorable. Lot took a long look at the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley in the direction of Zorah. The whole area was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord or the beautiful land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot chose for himself the whole Jordan Valley to the east of them. He went there with his flocks and servants and parted company with his uncle Abram. So Abram settled in the land of Canaan. And Lot moved his tents to a place near Sodom and settled among the cities of the plain. But the people of this area were extremely wicked and constantly sinned against the Lord. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look as far as you can see in every direction, north and south, east and west. I'm giving all this land, as far as you can see, to you and your descendants, as a permanent possession. And I will give you so many descendants that, like the dust of the earth, they cannot be counted. Go and walk through the land in every direction, for I am giving it to you." So Abram moved his camp to Hebron and settled near the oak grove belonging to Mamre. There he built another altar to the Lord. Abram's intent was to deceive the Egyptians. He feared that if they knew the truth, they would kill him to get Sarai. She would have been a desirable addition to Pharaoh's harem because of her wealth, beauty, and potential for political alliance. As Sarai's brother, Abram would have been given a place of honor as her husband. However, his life would be in danger because Sarai could not enter Pharaoh's harem unless Abram was dead. So Abram lost faith in God's protection, even after all God had promised him, and told a half-truth. This shows how lying compounds the effects of sin. When he lied, Abram's problems multiplied. In Abram's day, sheep and cattle owners could acquire great wealth. Abram's wealth not only included silver and gold, but also livestock. These animals were a valuable commodity used for food, clothing, tent material, and sacrifices. They often traded for other goods and services. Abram was able to watch his wealth grow and multiply daily. Hold on a second. Having been forced to go out of Egypt, Abram returned to Negev, which is the south, the last place he had lived in the Promised Land. Abram moved northward to Bethel, an area of Canaan with greater rainfall and thus more vegetation than the south. This move was probably necessary in order to feed the large flocks of Abram and his nephew Lot. Abram's physical return to the place where God first spoke to him in the Promised Land was paralleled by a spiritual recommitment of his life to God. For the first time since he left Canaan for Egypt, Abram called on the name of the Lord. Facing potential conflict with his nephew Lot, Abram took the initiative in settling this dispute. He gave Lot first choice, even though Abram, being older, had the right to choose first. Abram also showed a willingness to risk being cheated. Abram's example shows us how to respond to difficult family situations. 1. Take the initiative in resolving conflicts. 2. Let others have first choice, even if that means not getting what we want. And 3. Put family peace above personal desires. Especially during the dry summer months, the land around Bethel and Ai was too dry for such a large number of flocks and people. To remain in this area, Abram and Lot would have to separate. So we understand that. Surrounded by hostile neighbors, the herdsmen of Abram and Lot should have pulled together. Instead, they let petty jealousy tear them apart. Similar situations exist today. Christians often bicker while Satan is at work all around us or them. Rivalries, arguments, and disagreements among believers can be destructive in 3 ways. 1. They damage goodwill, trust, and peace, the foundations of good human relations. 2. They hamper progress toward important goals. They make us self-centered rather than love-centered. Jesus understood how destructive arguments among brothers could be. In his final prayer before being betrayed and arrested, Jesus asked God that his followers be one. And this was he said that in John 17:21. That's where you can find that. So, by doing this, Abram diffused tense situation that had soured the relationship between himself and his nephew, and between their herdmen, since they were brethren and were surrounded by people groups that had no reason to be friendly to them. It was important that they work out a compromise. Abram realized the only way to end this dispute was for them to separate. As senior member of the head of the clan, he should have been the first to select the region like I just mentioned, but he was being gracious. Thinking especially of his flock's need for water in the pasture, Lot was particularly interested in the southern end of the plain of Jordan, an area where that is well watered everywhere. So well off was this region before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, two prominent cities located there, that it was reputed to be as lush as the garden of the Lord, the Garden of Eden. The name Azor anticipates the events of chapter 19, 20 through verses 22. The name of the village at this time was Bela. Lot's character is revealed by his choices. He took the best share of the land, even though it meant living near Sodom, a city known for its sin. He was greedy, wanting the best for himself without thinking about his uncle Abram or his needs and what was fair. Life presents a series of choices. We too can choose the best while ignoring the needs and feelings of others. But this kind of choice, as Lot's life shows, leads to problems. When we make choices, or we are making choices in God's direction, our only option is to make choices in the wrong direction. Good pasture and available water seemed like a wise choice to Lot at first, but he failed to recognize that wicked Sodom could provide temptations strong enough to destroy his family. Have you chosen to live or work in Sodom? Even though you may be strong enough to resist the temptations, other members of your family may not. While God commands us to reach people in the Sodom near us, we must be careful not to become like the very people we are trying to reach. So, when we work with others and they give us to make a choice, sometimes we got to think of the whole perspective of things in our life. And I know I'm guilty of it, and I can only speak from my experience. I have made choices just for money before, and it turned out to not be the best choice for my family. I've also made choices that I thought were best for my interest, which was selfish, and it caused me to learn a lot. I had to learn the hard way, but it's helped me grow in faith with the Lord. Now, whenever you guys make a choice, you got to really go into counsel with yourself, and not just with yourself, with other brothers and sisters, to help make the best of choice. But you inside will have to still make the choice, no matter if it's hard or easy. I don't think choices like this are easy, but you got to weigh them all, and we got to really think about it and not just do it with the spur of the moment if you have time to do that. Sometimes we have to make a choice right then and there, but you always have time, so always try to give yourself more time. These guys, they had a little bit of time, but it sounded like if they didn't make a choice, then the animals wouldn't prosper and they wouldn't be able to keep their herds up, and then provide for all of the community. So it was a big decision. So whenever we put ourselves around people that don't believe in what we believe and aren't as strong in standing with the Lord, it can be dangerous, because you can be sucked into that, and that's happened to me as well. And I'm speaking from experience. You think you're strong, but after a while it wears on you, and you're making choices you should have never made. And sometimes it's better to be away from it, because it just makes it easier. If they want to be a part of this, then they can come to us. I hope you guys like the lesson. I know I'm liking it, but I got to continue on to my utmost for His highest. The test of self-interest. So this is a big deal here. Self-interest is kind of like what's better for me, and not thinking about as a leader what's better for everybody, and that goes hand in hand of being a better leader and also standing with Christ. As soon as you begin to live the life of faith in God, fascinating and luxurious prospects will open up before you. And these things are yours by right. But if you're living the life of faith, you will exercise your right to waive your rights and let God choose for you. Let's let God choose for us, okay, guys? We got to stand on the foundation every day and let Him decide what's right for us. God sometimes allows you to get into a place of testing where your own welfare would be the right and proper thing to consider if you were not living a life of faith. But if you are, you will joyfully waive your right and leave God to choose for you, just like Abram did. This is the discipline by means of which the natural is transformed into the spiritual by obedience to the voice of God. Whenever right is made, the guidance in the life, it will blunt the spiritual insight. So, if we think we're right, sometimes we're not. The great enemy of the life of faith in God is not sin, but the good, which is not good enough. The good is always the enemy of the best. So, don't let that little smoke and mirrors trick you, okay? Got to be smarter than that. You got to look at all things coming in. There's probably going to be things that you wouldn't expect, even if you did think of them. So, gotta go into counsel, like I'm saying. The great enemy of the life of faith in God is not sin, but the good, which is not good enough. The good is always the enemy of the best. It would seem the wisest thing in the world for Abraham to choose. It was his right. He was the leader of everybody, so he could have chose first, but he didn't. It's pretty meek and humble actions there. And the people around would consider him a fool for not choosing. Many of us do not go on spiritually because we prefer to choose what is right instead of relying on God to choose for us. We have to learn to walk according to the standard which has its eye on God. Walk before me. So let's walk before Christ. Let's let God choose for us what we need to do, and let the love of our hearts guide us in our choices and our decisions. That greedy, petty jealousy and all that, I mean, it's like a stab warfare with people, and it's just never ending. You stab them, they stab you back, figuratively here. And you got to be the bigger person and just make the right choices with love and kindness. And I know it's hard, but love and kindness last forever, and the truth stands forever. So if we stand in that love and that understanding, it will go tenfold on forever. Now, if you do one thing bad, it will be remembered the opposite, but tenfold. And when you stand in that, it takes time. And you can walk that path, because I have. And it's not the path to walk. It's just like drowning slowly in sin, and you just get weaker and weaker. The only way is with God, and He will grab you out of that water, just like Peter. He will. God bless you all, seriously. Hope you enjoyed the message. Another great day that the Lord has given us. Let's give it our all. I woke up this morning, did a little bit of workout, I'm gonna take my vitamin after this. I take a men's one a day. It was Centrum at first, but switching it up, trying something new. You know, eating a good breakfast, getting some fruit in me. This is our body. This is our temple. Let's take care of it. Make the right choices, and not just. I'm not making the right choices just for myself. I'm trying to better my health, so whenever I go and walk my life, I know that I'm giving it my best. I'm treating my body as a temple now, and I want to be that light for other people. And also not just for other people, I want to live a long life for my family. So these are the things we need to think about. You want to be that example, and we got to be that light. Being a Christian is an honor, and for me to be that honor, I want to give it to God in all that I do. God bless you all. I hope you guys do too. Let's be that light in that overflowing cup. See you guys. Have a blessed day.